Isn't it crazy how human beings, who are the most advanced creatures on this planet, are also the most vulnerable ones? We are vulnerable to emotions, to feelings, to climate change, to wars. And we are vulnerable to losing hope in the face of failures. I took charge as the district representative of a social service organization in the year 2020, in the middle of a nerve-cracking pandemic, to be specific. I took oath as a leader when countries around the world were witnessing a severe health crisis, and humanity was struggling to find an anchor. My team and I realigned our efforts to fight the crisis, from undertaking small acts of kindness in order to raise the hopes among the masses, to undertaking a full-fledged COVID relief initiative. We tried anything and everything to help the people in the times of despair. Days turned into nights, and nights turned into days as we raised again times in order to arrange resources in the form of plasma donors, hospital beds, oxygen cylinders, distribution of ration, medical kits, PPE kits, and whatnot. But during the peak of the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic in India, I failed. I failed multiple times on multiple people. I clearly remember in the month of April and May 2021, there was not a single day when a phone would not buzz with requests for donors, injections, or hospital beds. With a huge gap in the demand and supply of resources, our leads had started to exhaust at a lightning fast pace. Our helplessness, coupled with the failure of not being able to help the people who were reaching out to us, was creating a drowning feeling inside our hearts. However, I want you to take a deep breath and step back from this episode for a few minutes. Yes, it's crazy to know how human beings are not only the most advanced creatures on this planet, but also the most vulnerable ones. But I'm going to show you something which is even more crazier. And I hope that you're ready for it. Here it is. Can any one of you just put a little bit of pressure on your memories, go back to your childhood days and try to recall what this is? Sorry? A crazy ball. Yes, I heard it. A crazy ball. So a crazy ball is a super bouncy toy ball which is made up of a special kind of synthetic rubber which is called Zectron. Now, Zectron itself is made up of multiple ingredients like the synthetic silica, polybutadiene, hydrated silica, stearic acid, zinc oxide. Don't worry, you don't have to remember any of this. So this crazy ball looks like a very simple, cute little ball. But don't be fooled by its looks. This crazy ball has a very peculiar feature. If you're harsh with this ball and you push it towards the ground, it comes back up, apparently defying the laws of gravity. Unfortunately, human beings are not made up of synthetic polymer polybutadiene, stearic acid, zinc oxide, or any other type of ingredient which goes into this ball. So we do not inherit the peculiar feature of this ball, the feature of bouncing back after a fall. You see, human beings are obsessed with success. We follow various success gurus on social media. We read various books in order to get our hands on the success hacks. We listen to various podcasts. We follow and subscribe to various videos and newsletters. But we tend to ignore one of the most indispensable ingredients of success. That is failure. Yes, failure is a stepping stone that leads to success. The fall of this crazy ball, which depicts a failure, is actually a step in the process of its rising up. And if that's not sufficient, the harder I push this ball towards the ground, the greater is the height that it achieves. Failure is inevitable. In fact, most of us fail every single day of our lives. Please raise your hands if you have ever been asked by your mother to switch off the gas when the milk boils, but you forgot to do so, leading to the milk getting spilled. Oh my God, quite a few of you. Unfortunately, you failed in that mission. Whenever you're getting late for your school, college, or office, you fail. Whenever you forget to turn off the geyser after a bath, if you did that in the morning, you fail. You are going to encounter failure in some form or the other, especially when you're trying to do something new or engaging in something daring, or sometimes even when you are in your general routine. But when you fail and hit the bottom, that is the time when you need to use the ground to your advantage. That is the opportunity for you to convert and measure the depth of your fall. That is the time when you need to convert the force with which you were pushed to the ground into a greater energy, a greater determination that will help you rise back and achieve a greater height, just like a crazy ball. What you need to remember is that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. I know, a cliched line. Failure is not your enemy. It's your friend. A friend that redirects you towards the right path. But wait a second. If failure is not the opposite of success, then what is? Well, it's something called quitting. Failure is not the problem. Quitting is. When I was involved in assisting the COVID relief initiatives in the face of the collapsing healthcare infrastructure, I realized that failure was knocking at my door. Knowing that I had put the best foot forward, I opened the door and wholeheartedly welcomed it. I allowed this failure to become my strength in order to push the COVID relief initiatives beyond the boundaries of Delhi NCR as well. I had all the reasons to cry, to blame the system, to blame the government, to blame the healthcare system, and to simply give up. But with so many people having our hopes and desires reaching out to us for help and support, quitting was never an option. You see, if this crazy ball is covered with mud, dirt, dust, and oil, its ability to rise back is going to be severely restricted. And you'll have to believe me when I say this, because I'm not going to actually rub mud or oil into this ball, since I don't want to spoil the beautiful stage. But the blemishes on this ball will act as a deterrent for it to bounce back. On the same lines, if we start cribbing after a failure, if we start questioning our abilities, if we start regretting our choices, our ability to fight and to get back up will severely shrink down to great levels. So, just be like a crazy ball, a simple, pure crazy ball, in fact. Crazy enough to take rational risks, crazy enough to take that chance, crazy enough to keep going despite the adversities, crazy enough to not let yourself be burdened by the mud and dirt of regret, crazy enough to shun the fear of failure. Because if you are crazy enough to fail, success will be crazy enough to follow you. Thank you.